systems and wounds, which are the driving force behind lack and unworthiness. I am a self-love mentor, life coach, and author who's been inspired to share my experience from my own personal journey of excavating through the wounds and trauma to uncover my innate magic and power. If something is missing in your life, but you can't put your finger on it, join me now so I can provide you with insight, direction, and tools to create the fulfillment and bliss of a newfound freedom. Uncover Your Magic Within with Tracy Lynn starts now. That music makes me want to just dance.
I know, because you're Tracy Lynn.
That's right. And
but
Tracy
it does
Lynn
make you want to dance. Hey, everybody, welcome to the show, Awaken Your Magic Within, Tracy Lynn Wallace. This is her show. We get to hang out together. I thought about the topic for today. I want to just make sure everybody knows, if you want to find out more about Tracy Lynn, go to inspiredwisdomcoaching.com. And then when you get there, you're going to be able to look at the things she's offering, everything from meditation, sign up, to weekly mentorship coaching. That you're going to hear a lot about that today. But this deal right here today, the magic of self-care and forgiveness. How many times do we talk about this, and how few of us actually do it? And today you're going to talk about why this is important and what happens when we don't do it, right?
Absolutely. Good morning, and good morning to everybody out there. This is a powerful topic, and I think going through this whole COVID thing gave us an opportunity to recognize how little we're practicing self-care. So I'm super excited to talk about this. And, I like to relate it to having a vehicle, and you have a vehicle, I'm sure. And, if you're driving that cross country back and forth without doing any maintenance, you're going to have problems. It's going to run down. Routine maintenance is important. Taking care of it, keeping it clean, keeping it running optimally. And I kind of relate our body and our mind and our soul to a vehicle. It needs the maintenance. And, just like taking a shower every day, we need that emotional cleanse, because we carry a lot of stuff from day to day. And there are 5, parts of self-care, from physical, emotional, psychological, spiritual, and professional. And I want to talk about all those different aspects of it so our listeners can get an idea of how to improve themselves.
Yeah, let's get on it, because this is really, we blocked out 2 hours to really have a conversation about this. That's important. I think one of the things you said, and I'd really like you to lead off with this, is that, I don't know if this is a news flash, but it's a news flash for me. The notion that we are out of the woods with the 3 years of COVID, it's a great thought to have, and it's a great mindset to have. It is great. It's like mindfulness. It's like mindset. We're done with COVID. The reality is, right, that if you're in a business like me, or you're yourself, you're in a new phase of this new normal. And even more now more than ever, what you're about to talk about is uber important.
Absolutely. Yeah. I heard somebody say the other day that COVID is just a overextended drinking game.
Oh my God, that's true. But it really is. This is not the show for this. The show that I'm going to do with Mike Murphy is going to really talk about this. But what it does is it enables us to be more aware about what you're getting ready to talk about. And you're coming out of the gate and talking about physical self-care. So let's start with that, because we could sit here and beat ourselves up about what we didn't do during the past 3 years, or what we should have done, or what we could have done. But let's get to what we can do now.
Absolutely. And it's simple. It's baby steps. It can be so simple. Like, people think physical self-care. Oh, okay, I got to start, going to the gym again. I got to commit to doing this and eating better and cutting out all junk food. And it's not that. It's just taking those baby steps. So, going to the gym and doing 20 minutes, going for a 20-minute walk around your neighborhood 3 times a week, cutting one thing out of your diet, or only, I hear about the cheat days, whatever that is. But then also, going and getting a massage, or buying yourself an outfit. When you buy yourself a new outfit, or something that you put on and you feel good about yourself, like that's practicing self-care. So there's so many different ways. And it's not, I don't want it to lead into people thinking like, oh, that's superficial because it's an outfit. Because it really does come down to feeling good. You know what it's like when you put on something and you're like, I look good, I feel good, like this fits me well. So that can be done in various ways without taking it to the extreme.
Yeah. I love what you just said. And I want to back up on it a minute. We have to approach self-care without judgment. And what I mean by that is not judgment of ourselves and not judgment of others. The fact that someone buying an outfit, for me to think it's superficial, has no idea what it's like to be walking in that person's shoes. And that's why I'm so glad you brought this up, because every one of us is different. I have a friend that has just gone through the most horrific 6 months of her life. The loss of a husband, the fact that they built a development right up to her freaking backyard. They took out all the trees, then discovering black mold in the house, right? Then going through and realizing she's got to get something done with her heart. Okay, so this is like, she wants to go buy big trees. Go buy big trees. Yes. She doesn't need everybody telling her, don't buy the big trees, wait for the development. So this is what happens if we don't honor another person's walk in life, right? Because this is why we don't do self-care in the physical mode, I think, because we are all this stuff going on in here that says, Tracy Lynn, really? You're going to buy that outfit? Why are you going to do that? Don't you have enough outfits? Hello?
Mm-hmm.
I can't stand that voice.
No. Yeah. So I have to share the story. So I was out in LA helping my daughter move, and we were at a stoplight, and there was this gal, and she was probably 60, and she had this cute short haircut and this little jumper on. She had her headphones on. That rocking to the beat, crossing the street. And it was like everybody was watching her, right? She didn't care. She did not care. She was living her best moment. And it was so neat to see that, because it was a reminder of just, why do we care? Why do we care? And that you were talking about that fear of judgment. And it is that programming system that runs in our mind. We're afraid. We want to belong. We want to be liked. And as soon as we kick into that fear of being judged, all bets are off.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, give us a sense of what you've discovered in this, because I love this idea of the magic of self-care. And I like the idea of the magic of self-care and forgiveness, because I think let me ask you this. What do you think is the thing that blocks us from self-care? What is it that we hang on to that says, oh, I don't deserve that?
I know for myself, my personal experience growing up and, being who I was and bubbly and happy and creative, and there was a lot of judgment. And I have a sister who's 13 months older than me. So there was a lot of competition. And I saw that a lot of what I did made her not feel good. And so, I put the brakes on it, and it just, I kind of downplayed who I was.
Give me an example, because we gotta tell people, because see, this thing is a thing, right? Because I've been influenced by those people too, right? But there is a dynamic that goes on. And so are you saying that you were aware of the dynamic and understood what it was and understood how it was influencing you, whether or not you made a decision, yes or no?
I didn't realize it until recently.
Oh,
and
okay.
I just started to feel like, even most recently when I'd see her, I saw her persona change when I would come around, and I would see her try to puff up and try to talk about herself. But I will never forget this moment. We went to go get a family picture. I was probably 16 or 17 at the time, did my hair up, had a cute outfit, and we were looking in the mirror at the same time. And I was like, I feel really good. And she looks at me and she goes, you're going to hate your pictures. If that's not a buzzkill, I don't know what is. And it's like,
I get
who says that?
I get it. I totally get it. Linda and I had this big conversation, and we were coaching each other. And we said, look, Linda's the most practical person you find. I have 4 planets in Sagittarius. And so if you put the two of us in front of somebody like a Jessica, look out, because our intention is really good. But Linda will come up with 50 reasons why it doesn't make sense to do that. I'll come up with 100 reasons on how to do it bigger, right? And so we are just not mindful of this. But that is a buzzkill. And that is the story I was trying to tell you about my friend who has the money to put in an entire forest if she wants. She doesn't need somebody saying to her, don't put the trees and wait for the development to be built. Like what, 5 years from now? No. So how do we help people and support them in this area of physical self-care? Because what you're talking about either helps somebody become empowered or not. And I got to tell you, I'm working with a group of people here. I have to be mindful of every personality. I'm a work in progress, though. Benny will tell you that, right, Benny?
Well, yeah, it's something
Jacob will tell you that too.
It's something, just being aware of those voices in your head, as I talk about in the other shows.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, people always have an opinion. It doesn't matter what you do. There's always somebody, are you sure you want to do that? Do you really need that? Do you really need, you know, another car? Do you need a different car? Do you need a bigger house? Do you really need to go get a massage every week? You just went last week. Do you need, you know, to spend your money on that? And so these are the judgments that it's real. It's real. So the question is, do you own it or do you not? People can throw shit at us all day long. We have a choice whether we,
Benny, you'll bleep that out. Thank you. Tracy Lynn's fired up here. But you know, this is an important deal because we're coming out of 3 years of COVID where we have been told what to do, how to do it, not to do it.
Absolutely.
Not just by the government, because I think the government needs guidelines. Oh, did I say that? Email me later. But you know, the thing that I'm really excited about is the fact that we are now learning how to take off our training wheels again. And we have not been at the pinnacle of self-care. So what you're talking about here today and the magic of this is really, I don't know why you're not doing like a self-care challenge for people, because we need something to help people realize they deserve what they desire, right?
Absolutely.
Without judgment.
No. And I wanted to share the story about a neighbor I had during COVID and during the lockdown. And she was just like emotionally dying. She was like, I'm isolated. I'm just like, this is horrific. And I was like, get in your car and go for a drive. No. We're in lockdown. We have to stay home. And I was like, is the government going to take care of you when you have an emotional breakdown and you are, you know, depressed where you can't even function? You have to take care of yourself. And it was just fascinating, that mindset of like, forget about my needs. I'm being told what to do and it doesn't feel good, but that's okay. I have to sacrifice myself and abandon myself. And that's, I think, the biggest thing that we do in our lives is we abandon ourselves. We stop being true to ourselves. We stop honoring ourselves. We stop doing what makes us happy. And we care about everybody else. And I'm not, please understand, and to the listeners, like, there's a difference between being selfish and practicing self-care. And, you know, as long as you're not doing anything to the detriment of others, then you get to do what you want to do.
See, this is a slippery slope for women. I can't really speak to men, but this is a slippery slope for women because we are enculturated to understand that our role is to care for others. Now you all can email me and, you know, you can tell me I've really turned my back on feminism. No, that's not true. But I'm a realist too. I understand multi-generational training and what that's like. I mean, let's think about it. Look at what's happened in sports for women athletes. You know, this year, can I say this? For those of you that don't follow the Tour de France, so whatever you want to call it, if you don't follow it, I want to tell you what happened this year. For the first time in the Tour's history, they brought back women right now going on Tour de France, women.
Wow.
I also want to mention that in track and field, if you watch the World Championships, women blockbusting, breaking as well as the men. But we have something to learn here. And that's what you're talking about today. Is what would happen if we truly did what they say on the airplanes and we put our oxygen mask on first?
Yeah. And we need to do that, because if our cup is not empty, we cannot be there for others. We just can't. It's just, you reach burnout.
Okay. Yeah. Now, I want to really build the bridge, because the next part of this is totally related, and that's emotional self-care. And this is, so we don't think it's related, but it is very related. All of what we're talking about today, like you mentioned, physical, emotional, psychological, spiritual, professional, these two, physical and emotion, are acutely related, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
Absolutely.
What do you mean by emotional? And what do you mean when you say we have to do the house cleaning? Because I am going to hire somebody to clean my house, so you understand how I feel about house cleaning. No, but tell me what you mean, because this is really where the work needs to be done, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And I know, like, this is my favorite subject to talk about. I have so much passion about this, because this has been what has caused me so much pain in my life. And uncovering that, I didn't even know there was an emotional language. I didn't even know. I grew up with fear, anger, fear, happy, and well, pretty much that's it. Those were the only emotions that were expressed. And so starting to uncover, and I think if you get on my email list, I send out a list of emotions that are really useful. But learning how to identify, like, anytime you have an experience, being able to identify at least 5 emotions that you're feeling, like, it diffuses the energy that gets trapped in our bodies. And that's where all the pain comes from, because it's like, I go back to these childhood incidences where I'm just like, oh my God, I was terrified. And if I stop, there's humiliation, there's fear, there's confusion, there's insignificance. I mean, these are all the feelings that to dismantle. And so that's kind of cleaning out the ring in the emotional bathtub, so to speak.
Yeah. Oh, that's a visual. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's so crucial to just, you can go online and to the listeners and find a list of emotions anywhere, but just really start identifying and make a point. Anytime that you have something that was impactful going on, whether it's stress from a work project, whether it was a disagreement with your significant other, whatever it is, and just identify 5 emotions that you're experiencing. And the other thing I want to say is, we get so in the habit of saying, I am angry, I am mad, I am whatever. And it's not who we are. It's what we're feeling.
Yeah.
And so learning to train yourself to start saying, I'm feeling upset, I'm feeling discouraged, I'm feeling confused, I'm feeling, instead of owning it and making it who you are, making it define who you are. It's not.
I love this conversation. Let's talk about this, because I really need to have you go through the junk thoughts and, and identify the emotions and why this is important. Look, I play a sport in an arena where I am probably, there's about 30% of us are English speaking and the rest speak other languages. And so when you're playing in a sport like that, you learn to read emotions, right?
Mm.
And I had an experience in the tournament where we were playing in a game, and one of the people we were competing against in our round robin just had what looked like a serious, emotional, angry at something, right? Now, I can't tell you what it was because I don't speak Mandarin, but, I had my other buddies there that did, and I was smiling, and they looked at me and they said, stop smiling. And I said, why? I said, what do you mean? And then I start to laugh, of course, right? And they said, she's really angry. And I said, okay, but I'm not angry. She says, but you're going to make her more angry and we have to play her. I was like, okay, I get it. So isn't part of this too, we have to filter this. Because I have to tell you, the minute you tell me not to smile, and then I hear this story, I'm just laughing and I'm trying not to laugh because that's just me. But we have to understand what's coming in and what's coming out. How do we do that? Because see, this is the thing that will keep us stuck right here, I think, right?
Absolutely. And a perfect example of what you're talking about, for you, like, don't
I'm
smile.
even laughing now.
Yeah. Don't smile, don't laugh because it's not appropriate. Well, guess what? Her reaction is her stuff. That's her garbage. That's what her emotional hoarding is.
Mm-hmm.
And you, to change who you are, what you're feeling, that's
Yeah.
abandoning yourself. And that's what I'm trying to encourage people to stop doing. You know, you're feeling a certain way, feel that way. It doesn't matter. That's your own
Mm-hmm.
way of dealing with whatever you're experiencing.
Yeah. You know, you also talk about daily emotional bath, and I want you to talk about this because you're using one of my favorite words. And when you get to the point in your life where you have resentments, that is a serious indicator that you need to change something. Can you talk about this? Because resentments, they will stop an 18-wheeler in its tracks.
Yeah, it is the poison. It is the poison that kills our magic. It doesn't matter how much magic we have. As soon as that resentment kicks in,
Man.
it's gone. It's gone. And that is something, you know, when I talk about the daily emotional bath, at the end of the day, go through and just any experiences that you had energy on, write it out. And it's that anger is really, as we talked about in previous episode, under that iceberg is fear. And so, you know, I'm so angry at Susie because she took over the project I was supposed to have.
I am still angry at Susie from 1973. How'd you know that? No, I'm
there
kidding.
You go.
But really, you're right.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, we've seen, what is it? Who used to do those shows? Maury Povich or one of those people, yeah. Right? And these people would come on and they'd be like, I was bullied when I was 10 years old.
Jerry Springer too.
Oh, Jerry Springer, yeah.
Jerry Springer.
And here I am now, and I'm going to tell that bully, he's going to see what I look like now. That person's been carrying that anger for 20, 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
And they needed to bring them on a daytime talk show to air out their laundry, right?
Yeah.
And if they would have just said, you know, if they would have just dealt with that, like that bully was carrying on their life, didn't have any idea that they had caused anybody any pain. So just identifying. And if you need to go back, you know, anything you have energy on and carry resentments about, you got to tap into it. And this is what my book is that I had shared with you. It's called Forgiveness, the New F Word, that I'm about to release. And it's takes you through step by step how to let go of those resentments and those things that somebody you can't forgive, you don't want to forgive. I get it. You don't want to forgive somebody. I completely get it. But you're the one that's living with that pain and that anger, and it's affecting your emotions and it's affecting your physical health. And so that's what my book is. I walk you the steps to be able to, and there's a fine line because I'm not saying you have to forgive everybody. I'm not. But you need to release them. Yeah. There comes a point where you have to release them.
Yeah. Let's just be very clear. Our version of forgiveness is the following. This is a process of releasing. It doesn't mean you condone the behavior. I have to say this every time I do a show on forgiveness because I get anywhere from 5 to 10 emails. I just want to be very clear with everyone. There's no way that you are going to condone an abusive behavior that someone else is doing. That is not it. But we stay attached to the energy of these people. Mm-hmm. And we relive this until we can figure it out. But you see, what you're talking about is you brought up your book, but this is also the coaching body of work you do. So you help people with what we're talking about. So let's just be clear about that. You're not just here to talk about it. This is the body of work you do to help people. If there was ever a time that folks need to get in touch with this, it's now, because we have built up so much to be angry about in COVID and now.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a rant with my senator. I actually called a senator from another state the other day. And I said, dude, what are you doing? I said, no, we're sitting here in small businesses. And I had 2 people out this week. 3 weeks ago, I had 4 out of 5 people out. Wow. And so what happens is I'm not alone. And we feel invisible. And what I realized was I needed to take that to a different level of action. See, I don't call Chuck and say, hello, like you're doing what in the Senate? And, I don't, I'm like, I need to make you all aware. This is the reality of small businesses right now. Mm. But how would you help people? What could people learn from your website and the work you do? And when is your book coming out?
Hopefully within the next 30 days. But
oh, good.
I definitely
September.
September. Yes.
That's a good month.
It's in, I am super, super excited, Dr. Pat, because I just felt compelled to create a affordable coaching opportunity for people, because there's so many people out there that are just in pain and they're struggling and they're trying to figure out how to manage stress and develop positive habits. And so it's a coaching, breakthrough coaching group. It's a community. And that's what I wanted to create, where people can come and be in community with other people who are going through the same things. It includes a weekly live coaching session. And if you sign up for one of the higher tiers, then I provide healing meditations, worksheets that are all in conjunction with that lesson, mantras, just a program that's all encompassing, where people can come and heal and learn and grow and connect, because there's such a need for connection, and people think that they're alone. And I just want everybody to know you're not alone. There's so many people suffering. And COVID, to me, watching what happened, it created the same trauma for people as growing up in a dysfunctional home. You had the fear, you had the confusion, you had the inconsistency, you had the living in lack when we had all those shortages. I mean, it created trauma for people. If they were not emotionally resilient, they experienced trauma. And my coaching program helps people break through those things and address them and heal from anything that, is holding them back from being happy and free and having their magic.
Yeah. And, so let's just make sure they have the website before we go to break, because, you've got it right out there on your homepage, exactly what you've created for people, whether it's the community that people want to begin with, or the breakthrough coaching, or even additional coaching that people need, right? What's the best way for people to find out and sign up?
Absolutely. So I would encourage everybody who's listening to get on my website at Inspired Wisdom Coaching and just sign up for the free community. Everybody can sign up. There's nothing there. And then I offer the monthly, where I do the weekly coaching. It's $45 a month. You're basically paying $13, $12.50 a session for one, for a coaching session and Q&A and being a part of a community.
I love it. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, first of all, let me thank you for creating this for people. All of us are really striving to do this. We as a network are also planning some things, but this is so easy. And then forgiveness is the new F word. We can look for that in September timeframe, which is great. But here's the thing. Do you all have a question for Tracy Lynn? Do you need some help with this now? Are you carrying something that is just, when you think about it, it just makes your skin crawl? That is a resentment. That is something we need to release. We're going to take a short break, but if you want to call in or you want to chat with us on Facebook, 1-800-930-2819. When we come back, do you want to stop drinking the poison? Do you want to stop? Do you want to know how to put that glass of poison down? Just don't even put that up to your lips. Don't even smell it. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back with Tracy Lynn.
All clear.
That was good.
When we come back, make sure we mention the program again.
Okay. Do you get stuck in that someday attitude? Living the same day over and over again with no action? The Becoming You show. Big ideas that inspire, impact, and influence your life with Leah Rowling is for you. Tune in every Friday at 11 a.m. Central on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
I don't quite know
this
how
show will have you feeling inspired to take action with purpose and intention. For more information and to get in touch with me, visit www.leahrowling.com.
If you follow that, it's kind of cool.
Have you been on life's roller coaster?
trying to figure out what to do
there's
next?
finally, I
Then
think,
join
a
Greta,
realization
Lee, Yvonne,
that
and
we
the
are
Realm of
in the new
Beings each
normal.
Friday
See,
at
everybody
8
thought
a.m.
when the
Pacific,
restrictions
11
came
a.m.
off and the
Eastern
masks
on
came off, we were going to go back
TransformationTalkRadio.com.
to
Shake
the
the
way
dust
we
off
were,
your
like that
wings and fly
Barbara
to the highest
Streisand
heights
song, The Way
in your
We Were.
thoughts and actions.
Oh my God, that's like
Express
the
your
saddest song
greatness.
on the
Be a
planet, isn't
champion
it?
for yourself, and we'll
That
see
one
you
and Juice
there on
News is
Shifting
Break It to Me
Impressions
Gently. Those two.
Conversations with the Realm of Beings.
I interviewed Juice about that. But
Tune in to
this is
Spacious
new,
Unknowing Network,
and the rules of the
Communing
game
with Your Soul,
haven't even been
with
defined,
Julio
but we're
Rose
trying to find
and
follow
JoJo
them.
Rose. Every Monday
I found
at
myself,
7
Tracy,
p.m.
yesterday when I had two
Pacific
people
on
calling. I had to pull out the Washington State guidelines.
Let
I had to reread them. Then I had to read the new CDC guidelines. Then I had to reread them.
and guide you
Then I had to
new
read the HIPAA
horizons and unlimited
because they're changing
infinite
HIPAA now that
love.
we can actually.
There
Can
is
you
divinity
text questions
within you.
about health?
Join
This is now
Lisa
HIPAA.
Belt on her show, The Unshakable
So now they've
Living
lightened
Show,
up a little bit
supernaturally
to say,
and divinely
yes,
unshakable.
you can say to
twice
somebody,
a month,
did you take
and
a
find
COVID
that
test?
divinity that you deserve.
And some
Lisa will help you
businesses
feel encouraged,
like,
empowered,
you know what?
and
Not
realize
only I
that
need
you're
to
not
know you took
alone
the
on your
COVID test, but I
journey.
need to see
With
the results.
Lisa, address the foundation,
This is not the way
the
we
frame,
were.
and the finish
So,
of
like,
your dreams,
I have a
and
friend that
become
owns a company.
truly
He's like,
unshakable.
I've had too many
Boy,
people
does
say they
this
took the
feel
COVID
like
test.
good
I said, well,
times
dude, I don't think
today.
that's
It's so
legal
great
here.
to have all of you tune us in and turn us on.
He
I
said,
love it. This
yep,
is a
they
show
don't want to show me the
that's going
COVID
to
test.
invite
They
all
will
of
let
you
me
to open up your heart.
I'm like,
Oh my
okay, because it's about
Okay.
dreams coming true.
I'm like, okay.
There's a road
Well,
we get to
because
take as we
he's like
craft
us.
out and we lay a course that's in service
we
of so many
have
others. An entire staff of
sometimes
producers,
the
out.
universe,
God,
we're down.
whatever you believe
And
in.
he's even worse.
Have you ever wondered
He's like,
why,
and I
but
said,
better than why,
and, you know, we
or
were
how
talking about
the
this 'cause I was
universe
talking to you
knows
about
the
how to
guidelines,
line
and you should have
things
seen
up
me yesterday
in a
with one of my
way
staff
that
members. Gets you ready for the most expansive part of who you're going to become.
both Jessica
This is
and
the
I
time
are
to
saying,
change. And gratitude,
we know
leading
we're
with
on a
love,
fine line here,
opens up
trying to find out
more
what's going on.
expansive possibilities
Please bear
than you
with us.
can
We don't
imagine.
need to know
Crust
personal information.
busting your way to an awesome life.
I want to thank
But
you
if you
all
don't
for
feel
tuning
welcome,
us in,
put on
turning
it.
us on
So I had to look at whether I
TransformationTalkRadio.com.
was allowed to even do that. I mean, honestly, for me, 4 hours yesterday in trying to navigate this, starting at 6 o'clock in the morning and not really knowing. And I finally I walked away from it and I said, you know what? I just need to know.
And I got to bring in Pat.
Thank you, Ben.
Got my head spinning.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. Okay, here's the question. Do you want to know how to stop drinking the poison? And we're going to tell you what poison is. Well, I'm not. Tracy Lynn is. But Tracy Lynn, this is what you've created in the community that you've created because, you know, Awaken Your Magic Within, this is the show, but this is more than that. You have an entire platform of coaching, which taps into that magic within, but also you're providing solutions to adjust and adapt to where we are today. Let's get back before we talk about the poison thing, and that's like a band too, I think. But let's talk about what you've created to get people some relief here.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this, Dr. Pat. And like I was saying earlier, it's this breakthrough coaching community that I've created, whereas it's a place where people can come, belong to a community, be a part of live weekly coaching sessions that I do, as well as providing other tools to work through these particular topics that I'm covering. And, you know, I'm covering managing stress, relationships, developing positive habits, practicing self-care, forgiveness, dealing with old wounds. I mean, it's just going to be a whole gamut of topics that so many people can relate to. And, you know, one of the biggest things that we were talking about is the COVID and what it's created in this new normal. And I think everybody's just been living in survival mode for so long. And now that it's tapered down a little bit, people are finally starting to breathe, but the tidal wave is catching up to them, right? Or let's say, I guess the tsunami, right? So we have the earthquake and now the tsunami is coming to kind of brush over the tsunami of emotions that nobody really got to deal with at the time. So this coaching program, and like I said, there's a free membership. You can sign up, just sign up for the free, look around. And then if you're ready to take that step and get some coaching, then I offer the next membership level, which is the breakthrough coaching. And that's got the weekly live sessions, and that's $45 a month, which if you break that down, it's $12.50 per coaching session. And I wanted to make it affordable. I do not want anybody to have a reason not to get support and help that they need to navigate through life.
Yeah. I mean, you and I both understand the importance of this and the importance to do something about it, and we react and respond in our own ways. I think for me, when I went through the realization, it happened about 4 weeks ago, actually. And I went through the realization that it is time for us to really up level a bunch of things. It came out of this awakening, but I had to stop drinking the poison first. So let's talk about that. I love this because it's such a visual thing, right? It's so visual, right? And, there's like this little story about, oh, but it's just a little poison. I think I'll eat the chocolate chip cookie anyway, right? I think there's like a whole story about that. But we have to recognize the poison. Help us out.
Yeah, and that poison is seeping through our veins. And so where resentments and unforgiveness come in is when things are different than we had hoped they'd be, period. And unless we work through that to get to a place of acceptance, we won't be able to forgive or release. And my book that I was sharing, Forgiveness, the New F Word, because forgiveness is such a taboo word. It's just a lot of people do it just to do it, but they didn't do the inner work. And in my book, I talk about actually, even if you've forgiven somebody and you still have energy on it, unforgive them and work through my process. I provide the tools to help people work through that. And that movie Shawshank Redemption, they were imprisoned and it was just a brutal, brutal life. And then finally, I can't remember the character's name, was set free. And he did not know how to function outside of that prison or mentality, so to speak. And so our prison door is always open. When we have that resentment, the door is open. Are you going to walk through it, or are you going to stay in there and continue to be a prisoner of your own mind? Because that's the choice.
It is the choice. And, I want to just get to something that's really important in the conversation. I want to get to something I know you've talked about previously, and just make sure we get to it. But we have a caller calling into the show, and I don't want to keep them waiting. Benny, let's bring on our caller if we could.
Sorry, Pat, I don't have a caller waiting for you.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I was responding to her question about the character in Shawshank Redemption named Brooks.
Oh, there we go. I thought
he
Brooks was showing
He
up
was
for
the one
show.
that was running the library.
Brooks was calling in.
Yep. Yeah. He somewhere, right?
But it's so interesting we are talking about this because, first of all, you have to know that there's poison operating. And we can find it because if we go back to what you previously talked about, and let's just recap for people. We talked about the physical nature and the signings we get from physical. Then we've talked about emotional, and clearly, we can feel those emotional. Psychological self-care is right in the conversation of the poison. Spiritual self-care is, in my opinion, if I nail that, I am at the top of my game and I can deal with the rest. If I do the others and I don't hit the spiritual part of this, I'm like in a cheese that is fermenting too long. And then, of course, all the rest of it just ties in. But once you recognize poison, we can't go to the place of self-blame, right? I mean, I love the word poison, but once you see it, once you're getting ready to put that thing right up to your lip, maybe even got in your mouth and you're ready, like, oh, I got to spit it out. But that's not the time to beat yourself up for going that far, is it?
No, and I think that's really good that you brought that up because we do tend to do a lot of self-abuse and beating ourselves up and being hard on ourselves. And that doesn't get us anywhere. So we need to put that aside and just start digging into that pain and that fear, whatever's causing that anger and resentment. And I think it's important for the listeners to know resentment doesn't have to just be towards a person. It can be towards an institution. It can be towards an organization. It can be towards the government. It can be towards a place. It can be towards an emotion. I mean, I had resentment towards love for years. It was just like, I hate love. Love's so stupid. Love's not real. It's not. So it can be anything. And it doesn't matter what it is or who it is. We all have the same process that we need to work through to get to the other side of that.
Yeah. And, it brings me to really ask you about this because, part of this is really not just understanding it. And thank you for saying that. But I don't want people to be confused. Here's what I don't want them to be confused about. I know this is something you address. There are things that truly are not fair. There are clearly injustices. I'm going to give you a specific example of a friend of mine who has a brother in a state in the United States that has not legalized marijuana. Okay. So, like we have a bunch of states that have like marijuana is legal, like our state here. But there are still some states that are not quite there yet. So if you're in the state of Washington and you've been in jail for like marijuana something or other, right? That is no longer a thing here.
It's
right?
Not fair.
But if you're in another state, and I'm not going to mention you because y'all know who you are. You see that? Get it, y'all. You know who I'm talking about. But if you're in that state and you have people incarcerated, now you're trying to make a case and say, hello, government. My brother is in jail over here. Pat's brother just got released over here. How is this even making sense in the United States? And so that is one example of how you can go to a resentment. Now, I want to be clear about something. My friend, she's beyond resentment. She went into action. So we're not saying not to take action, Tracy Lynn. That's what I want you to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean we become immobile or complacent about the things that bother us. That's not what we're saying. No. Are we?
No. And it's like you said, action. It can be so powerful. So say you've got a woman who was abused in an abusive relationship, taking action and helping other women who have been abused, or, fighting with or creating a, petition to help change something that's, you find unfair. Like taking that action can really, I know there's people like this whole thing with the Ukraine, and my girlfriend's husband's from there, and he was just like, this is killing me.
Yeah.
And she was like, you know what, if you can't go out there, start raising money so you can help families out there. And it literally was a healing balm for him to let go of that resentment and animosity towards this unfairness, because he was taking action. And I think that's huge. And I encourage people, if there's something you can do it.
Yeah.
Don't sit on the sidelines and be angry.
Oh, I know. We decided to interview people. We interviewed members of the parliament. We've done some interviews with parliament members. We interviewed Uras, one of the youngest parliamentary members. It's a little bit harder to get them now, but there are things we can do. I love what you said. Now, this is not a show to tell you the right way or the wrong way. I just got a text message from someone, so I want to address it and have you address it. I've never, in my life, I haven't always been the most controlled and structured person to respond to an abuse. And I learned from that. Back in the day when I was younger and I did a lot of things for women's rights, one of the things we did is we put women that were abused up and hiding in our homes. We did that, which means you put them in your home and you tell them, don't tell anybody where you are.
Right.
And 9 times out of 10, if that works, there's not somebody at your doorstep shooting in your windows. Okay. But now we learn the power of that. Now there are organizations doing it. Right. But sometimes we have to follow our heart, don't we? And I think that I want you to address. See, we're talking about this as if part of our humanity is not present. If anything, I hear you say, our humanity is even more present in approaching this healing, right?
Yeah, there is a big wake up, and everybody's starting to see more and feel more and know more. And that is what breaks us out of the illusions that we've been living under for so long. So, taking these actions and doing what we can when it starts to become, part of our conscious awareness, that's where the change happens. And those are the kind of things that I talk about in the coaching, the live coaching, is what's happening now to us. Like, what's happening? All of a sudden you're like, I used to love to hang out with that group of people, and it doesn't feel good anymore. I used to love to go hang out at the bars on Friday night, and I don't want to do that anymore. I used to love to, eat McDonald's, and that doesn't, even appeal to me anymore. Like, we are changing, we are waking up, and we are getting back to a place of our true essence.
Yeah. I mean, you should have been on the show yesterday when I ranted about one of my favorite pizza places that I get to set my salads from. And they decided not to carry the Greek salad anymore. I mean, you should have heard my rant on that because, I could watch myself in how I'm talking to the person that's talking to me. See, let's get to this. Don Miguel said it better than anybody. He has 4 agreements. And one of the things you're talking about is the art of not taking things personally, aren't you?
Okay. Most of us do it. We create those stories. She looked at me the wrong way. It's because I'm not good enough. He didn't give me, I didn't get picked for the team. It's because they don't like me. And it's taking everything personal all the time. Somebody cut me off. Oh, you know what? They're just trying to ruin my day. And back to the forgiveness thing.
Please.
One of the things that I talk about is self-forgiveness, which is really the most powerful thing, because self-forgiveness comes into play of forgiving ourselves for taking so much personally, for creating these stories about ourselves, for believing certain things about ourselves, for all the losses that we experienced, thinking that we were a child that wasn't loved, that we weren't important, that we didn't matter, we weren't seen, we weren't heard. Those are the sort of things. And I created this meditation for self-forgiveness, and it's so powerful. And if you, once again, become a member of that group, those are the sort of things that I make available to the members, because those are what help people heal.
That's what I love about what you do, Tracy Lynn. Here's what I love about what you do. And look, for those of you that don't know this, go back and listen and watch some of the other shows. See, you and I are here not because we've read a couple of textbooks, although we have. We're here because we understand the pain of our own lives. My friends look at me and say, we don't get you. Why are you doing this? Why are you spending money? Why are you doing? I mean, this is it. They don't do it so much anymore because they've said, we give up on you. Okay, good. But you and I are here because we understand the journey we went through. See, you don't write a book on forgiveness. Forgiveness is the new F word. Did I get the title right?
You did.
Okay. You don't write a book like that because you had nothing better to do. You write it because your life's experience, plus your studying, plus your coaching certifications, plus when you put it all together, now you have something to say, I can help people. That's what I love about what you're doing.
Powerful. And that book has taken me 4 years, Dr. Pat, to finish because I had to go through this process. It was a long process. And the beautiful thing about it is other people don't have to go 4 years. Like, I provide the tools, the format, the steps that I took to get that resentment out.
Yeah.
And that's why it's my soul child. That book is my soul child because I lived it. I lived it.
Let me ask you a question. The book is going to come out. I'm assuming you're going to let us know so we can help you tell the world about it.
Absolutely.
I know we've got a few minutes left, but I really want to ask you this question because it really addresses everything we've talked about, including the poison drinking thing. How did writing the book change you?
It set me free.
I love that.
It set me free. And that's what I want for others, because there's a lot of anger and hatred and animosity in the world. And I just want people to heal. I want people to release themselves and be free, because that's what it's all about. Living a life of freedom and happiness and love.
You know, no one can really understand for me when I get asked the questions I miss. And I'm sure you're asked the same thing. I'm sure people walk up to you and say, Tracy Lynn, what are you doing? What program did you create? Why did you create it for that amount of money? Seriously? That's so low. See, you're like my friend David Etzel, because the price point doesn't matter to him. See, we're looking at how to make things available to people. That's where your heart is. And thank you for bringing this on today and really taking on self-care, because I will tell you, even with somebody like me, and I've got a lot of tools in my toolkit, and I struggled on Saturday getting up like I do on every Saturday and go play the sport I love. I struggle with that. I was not going to go because I woke up and I thought, wow, I got a commitment to Pam. I got a commitment to Susan. I got to take care of that. I mean, honestly, this is what hit my brain. And it took me an extra hour to work through that. But I did work through it. You see, even those of us that have so many tools, we are human. And that's what I love about what you are doing. Because if that happens to somebody like me, and then I get on with Linda and Linda's like, really? You're not going to go to play? What the, right? She actually helped me get out of the house. But we need to give this to people that don't have $1 million in their bank account, that can't afford to pay somebody 30 grand for some coaching thing. So as it changed you and set you free, what would you hope for others that would sign up to work with you on this phenomenally priced community platform you created? What is your highest vision for them?
I, from the bottom and top of my heart, just want people to get their life back.
Yeah, my God, yeah. Yeah.
To get their life back, and so they can start living and being happy and following their dreams and following their passions and living the life that we think is out there and not for us. And it's for every single person out there. And there is a way to get there. And I want to help as many people as I can get there. And I will encourage listeners, grab a friend, join up with a friend together, make them your accountability partner, make them your breakthrough buddy, or a family member. Like, who doesn't want healthier family members? Like, bring somebody along on this journey. You don't have to do it alone.
Well, and I think that's where you created what you created, because for me, there's a reason I have 5 coaches, and I'm looking at another, because no one I know, and I know this listening audience, you all out there, I know you don't want to feel the resentments in your heart. I know you don't. Otherwise, you're not listening to this network. You're not into the Transformation Network at all. You're not even here. But sometimes you need to have a hand put out to you to get up. That's what you've done. Tell people how they can register, sign up. I don't know if there's a registration date. Give us some more information.
Yeah, so right on my homepage at inspiredwisdomcoaching.com, there are 3 choices for membership levels: the free, the breakthrough coaching, and then the VIP. And, I would recommend for everybody to sign up for the free if you're not sure if you want to jump into the coaching right away. But the first coaching session is going to start next week. And, this is the first that I'm sharing it with. So all the listeners get first opportunity to be the the ground level. And it's $45 a month for those 4 live coaching sessions a week, or 4 live sessions once weekly. And it's going to be life-changing. It's really going to help people get back to the core of who they are.
I want to thank you for doing this, but this is you and who you are. We're going to let everybody know more about the book. We're going to ask you to send us whatever you can, because we need to create a new movement now. We really need a new movement now. And I think we are the people to do it. It's like one of my greatest mentors, Mary Louise Smith, would say to me all the time. She was really hard to work for, but I'd walk into her room and she'd say, "Okay, lady, what part of the problem are you?" And I felt like throwing something at her until I realized that I needed to answer that question. Because then she said, "Now that you know that, what part of the solution are you? You've identified the problem, and now you've identified the solution." And I can't thank you enough. Tracy Lynn, what's your personal message? What do you want to leave us with today?
Just be open. Be open to making the changes and change the paradigm. We're all living under these paradigms that are not serving our highest and best. And I just got compelled to share with anybody that signs up for my coaching program this week I am actually going to send out my new book, Forgiveness, the New F Word, on PDF format to anybody who signs up. I just think I need to get it out there. I think people need the tool.
And you know what? We're going to take that information and we're going to make sure we tell everybody about that. Tracy Lynn, thank you so much for everything. Give out your website one more time if you could.
InspiredWisdomCoaching.com.